Hello, my friends. How are we doing? Here we're back after many of my friends asking me to elaborate on that subject. Today I'm going to talk again on this live about the Israel change of government and the non existing protocol of changing regimes in the country. So let us start and hi. And we're back. And that actually works. So let's go. Uh, a bit about me. I'm Ron Sinai. For those who don't remember and don't know, I've been involved in Israel tourism industry for the last 3 decades. This year, I founded the Sinai Connection, which enables people around the world to invest in Israel, whether in real estate, high tech, charity, or more. We are your concierge in investing in the country, whether it's in yourself, but through Israel. I'm here for you. You can find us on www.thesinaiconnection.com. And let us start. The change of the Israel government is actually kind of interesting. And I do want to dive in because the idea that we just don't really have a protocol on how to do it. The laws are pretty scarce. It's still ongoing. I have to emphasize that because when I'm talking to you, my friends, predominantly Americans, we're talking about 245 years of history. And 245 years that is based on a common idea that you have a constitution. Something we don't have. And in the 73 years of existence, all we have are laws that are being built as time goes by. As you remember, we talked about the Israeli parliamentary system. I want to brief a little bit about it, just to remind us all. We have elections, presumably every 4 years. At the end of these elections, the largest party receive a mandate from the president of Israel to actually formulate a coalition that in the case of this country and the Knesset, which is the House of Parliament, we have 120 members. This coalition have to have at least 61 votes to win whatever vote they're going to pass. And therefore, building a coalition of at least half of the members of the Knesset is crucial in order to actually have a running government. Building a coalition is a big issue. And if you do not manage to build this coalition in the period of time given to you by the president, which is 3 weeks, you return the mandate to the president and he offers it to the second largest party. In the case of Israel, it started with the Likud party and Benjamin Netanyahu, who was prime minister till now for the last 12 years. And since he could not create a coalition or establish a coalition, it passed to Yair Lapid from Yesh Atid party. The idea was that he will try and make a coalition, and in his case, he actually succeeded. And upon succeeding in creating a coalition, we have one. After 12 years, there is a change in government. As I said that in the last live that we had a couple of weeks ago, we have to understand that it's not only a new government, it's a change of leadership. After 12 years, Yair Lapid is the head of the new government. Well, not him, because part of his coalition meant that he's giving his prime ministry or the leading of this coalition to one of his partners, in this case, Bennett, who will be the prime minister for the next couple of years, and then Yair Lapid is going to take over. The change of governments in Israel, and if I'll take the government structure, we have the government, and within it there are ministers, and the concept of the change of the government based on the fact that every minister that received his position as part of the coalition deals in order to create this coalition, each party within this coalition will receive seats or places to run and govern, kind of an idea of how to make a difference for its constituents. And he will go into this office. Let's say the head of the Labour Party, Merav Michaeli, became the Minister of Transportation, okay? Or as Razbozov is going to be the Minister of Tourism. He is going, or she is going into the office, and upon going there, the professional clergy or the professional people of the office, it is not changing. It's not like in the States, it doesn't change. What changes is the head honcho and the general manager of the office, which is a political position. All the rest are professional positions, and they continue whatever they were doing unless they're receiving a different methodology from the minister in charge of them. This change of offices is done by the new ministers in a process that takes a few days, usually, and at the end of it, there is a meeting, gathering, giving a toast, blessing the other guy with all the luck possible so he can succeed in receiving this ministry out of the hands of the former minister. And at that point, they're starting their process. In this case, the change of rule within the offices was pretty smooth. Remembering that we are changing a regime, and the offices that were left behind, according to what is said recently, were not really taken care of because we had 4 elections in 2 years, and that turned everything into turmoil. We don't really have an actual budget. We are working on percentage of the last budget that was 2 years ago, which is the first thing that the government will have to deal with. And all of that is crammed into this change of leadership, not only change of government, but the change of leadership with the leader that left, very much like his close friend, President Trump, didn't want to do it and never accepted this change of regimes. And therefore, instead of acting gracefully, you've all probably seen it on the media, the inauguration was a mess. There were people getting out of the Knesset, not for the first time, by the way. It happened before in past inaugurations of new prime ministers and new governments. But in this case, it felt a bit more than just that. That would be accepted. That's part of the political game of Israel. It's a parliamentary system. And those who are not in the government right now feel that they have been jilted, especially when the right and the left have combined into a coalition of, I don't know how to call it, but unity. Let's put it on a nice word, unity. Not easy, definitely not the optimum of what the voter wanted, but probably this is what the voter needed, because at the end of the day, the voter is voting for a party, and at the end of these discussions between the coalition, this is what happened, and we have a new government. If we are trying to compare this to this system in the States, remember that in this situation, Netanyahu didn't want to pass the prime ministry to Bennett, and he did it in a very non-graceful way by sitting with him for 30 minutes, shredding whatever documents that were there that might implement that he wasn't doing stuff as he should. This is going to go through some kind of a police and checking it, because it's illegal to do that. So the transfer was not smooth. And remember, we're talking about Israel, and things here are very, very hectic. And there is a need to actually go through what is on the table right now and how to do it. And if I'll compare this to the U.S. system, I do want to, remember that the U.S. Constitution came in force already in 1789, and by doing that, the 20th Amendment of the Constitution was adopted in 1933, which meant something very simple. In the States, when there is an entire concept of presidential transition, and when we're receiving this concept of a presidential transition, it's built in the law. There is no games in it. There's no ways to work with it. There's going to be a transition team who's going to take the president into the White House and the administration being changed through a system, okay, that starts way before the elections. Already when you have the candidates, they're already starting to prepare towards coming into office. Here, nothing happens until the end of the elections. And when the declaration of an apparent winner happens, this is where things starting to form up. Okay, in the case of the U.S. last elections, it was still a bit shaky, though Trump said, and he actually said it, I'm going to be there and transferring the administration as clear as possible with whatever happened around. It did happen. It wasn't gracefully as it was before. It was one of the only situations that he did not attend the inauguration of the president, but it happened before, and in 245 years of history, we accept that there have been changes in people and in how things happen, and there was a lot of claims about the integrity of the elections in the States, something that did not happen in Israel. Though what we can see is that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not forced, like it happened with Trump, to leave the White House or to leave the resident of the Prime Minister in Jerusalem. And when we're referring to leaving the residence, Prime Minister Netanyahu and his family is not required to leave the official residency by law, but there is a period of time that they can still stay there as long as it's done with negotiating with the future prime minister. And I believe that it wouldn't be an issue unless we're talking about little kids, and not the little kids of Netanyahu, though when he entered the house, he had little kids. Today they're grown up. They're still living in the house, but they're grown up. And it's not that he doesn't have where to go to. Yet, since Bennett and his young kids are still in school and he's not going to move with the family to Jerusalem, Netanyahu stays in the house. That causes a bit of an issue, because if he never accepted really the new government and he's going to fight with everything he can from the opposition, receiving formal visits of formal visitors to Israel in the official prime minister residence as the former prime minister causes a lot of issues. Causes a lot of issues within Israelis themselves who say, wait, you lost. There is a new prime minister. How dare you meet with dignitaries in the former prime minister's house when you're no longer the prime minister? But there are issues. It is official residency. It's not the White House, so there are no laws on when they should be evacuated. In the States, on January 20th, the new president comes in, the old president gets on Air Force One, leaves. That's it. There's no issues about it. There's no questions about it. The new president moves in, the old president leaves. And that's how it's been, and that's how it's going to be. Here, we still don't know when it's going to happen, okay? And as for the first weeks of this government, we're seeing major difficulties as is in maintaining a coalition that has an Arab party, right, left, and others all combined in with a will to change things. It's a very, very fragile coalition. I see a lot of challenges ahead of this coalition. As an Israeli, as a very moderate center person, I do want to bless this government in the best way that I can find in doing that is using the priestly blessing and bless this country with shine and with hope and with grace, and of course more than anything else, with peace. We really hope that this is what's going to lead this government. And in that note, and with this positive notion, I do want to conclude and invite you all to visit our website, the place that we will give you the ability to stay in touch with the country throughout the year. Even if you're not being able to come in, I do want us to come in. Join us at theSinaiConnection.com. I would love to see you again. So let's stay connected. It's been a pleasure. See you on Thursday. Good day.